जयद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंद जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद जय द्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंद जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद जय द्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंद ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं सागरजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं प्रजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते सप्तकांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण परिष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमद् रघुनाथ स्वामी नाम नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयति गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्येश्वरं हरि ओम तत्सत्। हरे कृष्ण. Thank you all for joining. Today in our Chaitanya Pravah series we are beginning the 22nd chapter of the Madhya Lila, and this chapter is entitled The Process of Devotional Service. In the last chapter, which stretched over 3 odd classes, we discussed about the opulence and sweetness of Krishna. How Krishna is not only opulent but so extraordinarily sweet and attractive that nobody can match him in his beauty, in his attractiveness. Akarshati iti Krishna. Most attractive. So once somebody becomes attracted to Krishna, he cannot get attracted to anything else of this world. So having described that, the attractiveness of Krishna, Lord Chaitanya, in his instructions to Sanatana Goswami, continues to instruct Sanatana Goswami and now moves to the topic of devotional service. So logically, Lord Chaitanya has described that Krishna is so opulent, so sweet. We must all develop a loving relationship. So what is the process of devotional service? Abhideya. He wants to describe how one can realize Krishna, how one can develop a relationship with Krishna. What is it that is important? What is it that is useless but believed to be important by people in general? Correct? Sometimes we have so many wrong ideas about what is important to achieve Krishna. Then after many years in devotional service, you realize, oh, I thought this is so important. I was giving so much focus on this. So Lord Chaitanya wants to be very, very clear that what is actually of value as far as attaining pure devotional service is concerned. So this chapter is close to 170 odd verses. We'll see how many we can cover. This chapter again is not pastime, it is still teachings. And some of the concepts which are explained in this class are, in this chapter, sorry, are very, very, uh, very important nuances which serious sadhakas must understand if they want to make uh, tangible progress on the path of pure devotional service. Also, some of these teachings are very central to our Gaudiya Vaishnava Siddhanta. And that is why also it is very important because these are, how to say, non-negotiable aspects or distinctive aspects and hence non-negotiable aspects of the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, especially our Gaudiya Vaishnava Vedanta, the Achintya Bheda Vedanta. So Lord Chaitanya continues and he tells Sanatana Goswami that the subject matter of all the Vedas is Krishna. Krishna is the very center of everything. And I have described the relationship with Krishna in various ways. And now, Sanatan, I am going to be describing to you the characteristics of bhakti. What kind of bhakti? That bhakti by which one can attain shelter of Krishna and loving transcendental service to him. Because if you want to really have the ability to experience the reality of Krishna in terms of his opulences, in terms of tasting his sweetness, then one must develop bhakti. If one doesn't develop bhakti, then it is not possible. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, right? Bhaktyamam abhijanati yavan yaschashmi tatvatha. If you want to understand me as I am, not just based on what you think I am, but as I am, bhaktya mam abhijanati. Yavan yaschashmi tatvata. Yavan yaschashmi tatvata means the way I actually am in truth, tatvatah, then bhaktya. Another place in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Bhaktya tu ananyaya shakya aham evam vido Arjuna. If you want to understand me as I am, in this two-armed form, as my Shyam Sundar form, only through Ananya Bhakti, not just Bhakti. We're not just talking about execution of the rituals of devotion. We're talking about pure devotional service. So Lord Chaitanya wants to explain to Sanatan the characteristics of pure devotional service and how to attain pure devotional service. Lord Chaitanya begins by telling Sanatan Goswami that for a human being, Manushya Janma, Hoilo Jar, Janma Sarthak Kari Karapurupka. If you have achieved a human form of life, you must devote yourself, your life. The central purpose and goal of your life must be to attain Krishna consciousness. Janma Sarthaka Kari. Perfect your life. And what is that perfection? The perfection of Krishna consciousness. All Vedic scriptures and all saintly people have emphatically mentioned that this is the real goal of life. The real goal of life is not just execution of religion, dharma, not just enjoyment of the senses, kama, not just attaining wealth, artha, not even simply liberation. The real purushartha is the panchama purushartha, which is pure bhakti. Then Lord Chaitanya quotes various scriptures to support his point. And he quotes first by saying that this is the version of all the Vedas, not just the Vedas. The Vedas are considered the mother. Shruti is the mother for all living entities. Krishna is the father, Shruti is the mother. The mother introduces the father to the children. Correct? Sometimes the father may have gone far away. To introduce the father, the mother will tell the child, this is the father. The child doesn't have to speculate who's the father. The mother will tell the child who's the father. So just like the mother introduces Krishna, the father of all living entities, to us, similarly the corollaries of Shruti, the corollaries of the scriptures, which are the Smriti Shastras, like the Puranas. The Puranas are like our brothers. And the other Smriti Shastras are like our sisters. So the brothers and sisters can also help us to understand who's our father. And all these Vedic literatures, the mother, the father, and the brother, the Vedas, the Puranas, and the other Smriti Shastras, they're all telling us the same thing. Oh, living entity, wherein lies your good fortune? That Murari, the enemy of the demon, Mura, is your only shelter. And this is what the living entity should understand. Then Lord Chaitanya quotes another verse and he says that Krishna, who is the absolute truth, the non-dual truth, Advaya Jnana Tattva Krishna. Advaya Jnana means non-dual. Non-dual means there is nothing outside of him. Everything exists within him. His energies, his expansions, us as the living entities who are his separated expansions, everything exists inside Krishna. He is the only independent truth, and everything is ultimately non-different from him. Because everything that exists are either his personal expansions or his separated expansions. Swamsha means his own expansions. Who are his Swamsha? Swamsha Vibhinnamsha Rupehana Vistara Ananta Vaikunta Brahmande Karena Vihara. So there is Swamsha. Swamsha means his personal expansions. What is personal expansions? Krishna expands personally into so many other forms. Narayana, Rama, Krishna, Narasimha. Ramadi Murti Shukala Niyamena Tishtan Nanavataramakarod Bhuvaneshu Kintu. All these various incarnations are situated in the spiritual world, in the Vaikuntha planets. And the Vibhinna Amsha, it's like there are Swa Amsha, there are Vibhinna Amsha, also coming from Krishna. Swamsha are God expansions. And Vibhinna Amsha are separated. What does separated mean? They are not God. They are tiny, 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 tiny particles of God, which are the us living entities who are placed into the material existence, the various Brahmandas which are governed by Lord Brahma. Swamsha Vistara Chatur Vyuha Avataragana. So Swamsha are headed, all these expansions are headed by the quadruple expansions such as Narayana, Vasudeva, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, and their expansions and expansions of the expansions. From them come innumerable avatars. The Jivas, we are the Vibhinna Amsha. And how many are there of the Vibhinna Amsha? There is no counting. There is no limit. There is no limit. So both the material energy which creates this Brahmanda, which is the Bahiranga Shakti of the Lord, as well as the Jiva Shakti, which comprises the Vibhinna Amsha, are both the Lord's energies. Krishna has explained this in the Bhagavad Gita also. First, he explains that the Daivi Prakriti is comprised of the 8 elements. Uh, uh, भूमिर आपो अनलो वायु खम मनो बुद्धिरेवच अहंकार इतियम में ना prakriti ashtadha. These are eight are my material energy. And immediately Krishna says, apareyamidastvanyam prakritim viddhi me param. Jiva bhuta, jivas. Yayedam jharyate jagat. The material world has become alive because of the presence of another energy. Not because of Prithvi, Vayu, etc., etc. Not the Panchamahabhuta or the three subtle elements. Material energy doesn't become alive because of them. It becomes alive because of the Apara Prakriti. There's one more Prakriti of mine, which is the Jiva Bhuta, the tiny, tiny living entities. And these tiny, tiny Jivas, because they are individuals, because they are conscious, because they are my part and parcels, even though they are actually my energies, they are Prakriti. By classification, by their existence, because they are individuals, sometimes they try to imitate the Purusha, me, the boss, God. And as soon as the Prakriti tries to become Purusha, the Vibhinnamsha Jiva becomes bewildered. Sometimes the Jiva becomes bewildered to try to enjoy Maya, and sometimes the Jiva becomes bewildered because he thinks I am as good as God, I am God. Both are problems. To think I am matter, I am this body is a problem. Is one kind of conditioning, and another kind of bewilderment is in the opposite direction. I am God. Huh? There's no difference between me and God. That is also another problem. Then Lord Chaitanya explains to Sanatana Goswami, please understand this Jiva Shakti, the tiny living entities. Within that also there are two broad categories. What are those categories? Some of these jivas are known as Nitya Mukta and some are known as Nitya Samsara. What does that mean? Eternally liberated and eternally conditioned. Who are the eternally liberated souls? There are certain souls who have never come into the material world. They are the Lord's eternal associates who have directly been serving the Lord. They are always awake to Krishna consciousness, which means they have no experience of Maya. They are always serving Krishna. They probably don't even know that there is something called Maya. Just busy serving the Lord. Huh? And they are enjoying transcendental bliss eternally. And then there are the Nitya Baddha, the Nitya Samsara living entities. Nitya Bandha, Krishna Haite, Nitya Mahirmukha, Nitya Samsara Bhunje, Narakadi Dukkha. And then there are the Nitya Baddha. These are living entities who are trapped in Maya. Since how long? Nobody knows. Huh? For all practical purposes, we can say perpetually bound. Nobody knows when their entrapment began. Nitya Baddha, Nitya Bandha, Nitya Bahirmukha. Since time immemorial, creations after creations, birth, old age, disease, death. Huh? Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam. Sometimes going to hell, sometimes going to heaven, being humans, being animals, through different species of life, continuously navigating this samsar, continuously suffering. But because they have not yet become Krishna conscious, their suffering never comes to end. Why? सई दोषे माया पिशाची दंड करे तारे आध्यात्मिका आदि तापत्रय तारे जारी मारे. Because they are opposed to Krishna consciousness, because they want to enjoy in this material world independent of the Lord, they want to emulate the Purush, they are continuously punished by this witch of Maya, Pishachi, Maya Pishachi. Danda kare, danda means she gives punishment. What kind of danda? Adhyatmika Adi Tapatraya, by the three fold miseries. Adi Bhautik, Adhyatmik. Body, misery is caused by the body and mind. Uh, Misery is caused by natural forces and the devatas, and misery is caused by other living entities. They are continue to suffer. The Nitya Siddha living entities are eternally enjoying, and the Nitya Baddha are eternally suffering. Continuously being harassed by kama, krodha, lobha, moha, being servants of their senses. They are battered and roaming throughout creation, hopelessly wandering and wandering and wandering. And what is the hope of such living entities? Somehow, by good fortune, if these diseased living entities meet a doctor, who's the doctor? The spiritual master, huh? The physician who can cure this disease of Maya. If he gives the right instructions and they follow the instructions by this devotee physician, they take his association, the conditioned souls can connect with Krishna consciousness and develop bhakti. And in this way, they can slowly distance themselves from Maya and bring themselves closer to Krishna. Otherwise, it is very, very difficult. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 7.14, Daivi hi esha gunamaim mama maya duratya. Very difficult. For Nitya Baddhas to become Nitya Mukta, which means to go back to the spiritual world, very, very difficult. Maya is so powerful, so powerful, so powerful, that the living entities who are bound by Maya practically find it impossible to extricate themselves from this bondage. Without the help of the spiritual master, one cannot attain bhakti. What to speak of attaining bhakti? One cannot even understand what is bhakti. Bhakti is not available within the material world. Bhakti comes from the bhakta. Krishna doesn't give bhakti directly. Krishna's authorized agents are bhaktas. The bhaktas appear in this world to give bhakti to other living entities. So, Lord Chaitanya tells Sanatana Goswami that the living entity should pray to Krishna. What he should pray? The bound living entity should pray that I am suffering so much, my Lord. My heart, which is continuously having so many lusty desires to enjoy this material world. And even though I've been trying life after life after life to serve my senses, to fulfill these desires, just see how long I've been conditioned. Nitya. So if any one of us is asked, how long you have been trying to enjoy matter? Nobody can count how many lifetimes. But any one of us can say, my project has completed, I have successfully made myself happy. Huh? We are still frustrated, still confused, still bewildered, still being harassed by Maya. And that's why the living entity prays to Krishna. I am so shameless. Just see, after being harassed for unlimited time, I'm still not giving up their service. But now, my Lord, I have slowly, by the association of your devotees, in my intelligence, I am little bulb is flickering. And what is that bulb? I am realizing, oh, gadbad, some big problem. My whole paradigm has been wrong. Oh, Yadav, oh Lord of the Yadu dynasty. Now my intelligence is awake. I want to give up all these things. Huh? Now I don't want to be the servant of these materialistic desires. I want to surrender to you. Because only at your lotus feet, Sharanam, Abhayam, Mam, Niyungshva, please grant me shelter. Because only at the shelter, Atma Dasye, in your personal service, can I find true fearlessness. That is our constitutional principle. True fearlessness. Krishna Bhakti Haya Abhideya Pradhana Bhakti Mukha Nirikshaka Karma Yoga Jnana. Actually, Lord Chaitanya is telling Sanatana Goswami, all that the living entity needs to do, the living entity's eternal nature is to serve the Lord. Very simple. All that the living entity has to do is bhakti. There are popularly known in this world as other processes of liberation which are based on karma, jnana, yoga, besides bhakti. But please understand, Sanatan, that other than bhakti, which is itself sufficient, all other processes of liberation using karma, using of jnana or using of yoga, they cannot independently grant liberation. They are all dependent on bhakti. Without adding bhakti to karma, without adding bhakti to jnana, without adding to bhakti to yoga, by themselves, these methods are incapable of granting one even liberation. What to speak of bhakti? They are very weak by themselves. So Acharyas explain that the strength to liberate for karma, jnana and yoga comes only when some bhakti, at least little bhakti is added. Without that bhakti, one cannot transcend the material energy. And that's why it is said, if one doesn't take to bhakti but just applies oneself either to karma, jnana or yoga, then one may purify himself from the lower modes, be situated in goodness. But for liberation, goodness is also not adequate. For liberation, one must transcend the modes of material nature. That transcending is not possible by actions in the mode of goodness. The transcending of modes is possible only by transcendental activity. And transcendental activity is bhakti. So without the touch of bhakti, karma, jnana, and yoga cannot actually liberate one. Huh? And there are so many examples. So even in the Bhagavad, very clearly in 126, first canto, second chapter 6, so very clearly Lord says, sorry, not Lord, Sutta Goswami says, Savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhakti radokshaja ahituki apratihitaya atma suprasi. That the supreme dharma, the paro dharma, the transcendental dharma, para means transcendental and also supreme, is bhakti. Yato bhaktir adhokshaje. Huh? Ahaituki apratihata yayatma suprasi. Ahaituki and apratihita. Ahaituki means no other purpose. Not karma, which means no material desire. Not jnana, means not desiring even liberation. Huh? And not desiring mystic perfections, yoga. So one must take shelter of, ideally take shelter of pure bhakti, but even if one has taken to any other processes, please understand, Sanatan, one cannot actually attain liberation without actually adding bhakti, because it is the bhakti which actually will take one across the liberation line. Lord Chaitanya quotes a very beautiful verse from the Bhagavad. This is a very, very strong verse. This verse is the first canto, 5th chapter, 12th verse, where Vyasadeva felt very morose after compiling all the Vedic literatures. He wrote so much about karma, so much about jnana, so much about yoga, but he's still not feeling satisfied. And Narad Muni told him very nicely, he says a very beautiful verse, 1512. Naishkarmyam api achyuta bhava varjitam na shobhate jnanam alam niranjanam. तः पुनः शश्वत भद्रम ईश्वरे न चार्पितम कर्म यद अपि अकारणम. Very beautiful. He says naishkarmyam api achyuta bhava varjitam na shobhate. Doesn't look good, not attractive, not a good deal. What? Even if one is performing naishkarmya means activity without any material results. Means karma yoga, jnana yoga, where one is performing activity without any material results, without expectation of any reward. Even perfectly selfless work, if it is achyuta bhava varjitam, achyuta bhava means devotion, varjitam, devoid, shobhate. Jnanam, alam, niranjanam. Simply speculative knowledge is not going to beautify the soul. What to speak of materialistic dharmic activities? Even jnana, totally detached action, which is supposed to be not producing any karma, is also not adequate. Actually, Vyasadeva is being instructed by Narad Muni that you have described all these other things, but because you have not sufficiently described bhakti predominantly, you may have hinted a little bit here and there. It is basically achyuta bhava varjitam. Narad Muni is chastising Vyasadeva that if people read scriptures, they will not understand that the real goal of life is bhakti and bhakti is necessary and sufficient. They'll get distracted by all other things. They'll keep bhakti aside and they will not achieve the real result of what is actually the goal of life. What is the point? Why you wrote all these scriptures? Huh? So you wrote Karma Kanda, you wrote Jnana Kanda scriptures. Now you write Upasana Kanda. Upasana Kanda means Shastras on Bhakti. That is when Vyasadeva starts compiling the Srimad Bhagavatam. One more verse, which is from the second canto, 4th chapter, 17th verse, which again Lord Chaitanya quotes to Sanatana Goswami to substantiate this point. Like what we mentioned, right? Even when Lord Chaitanya is instructing the Goswamis, whether he's instructing Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, whether he's instructing Rupa, whether he's instructing Sanatan, Lord Chaitanya, who's the Lord, is also quoting scripture. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy is not that because Lord Chaitanya said, because Lord Chaitanya is God, he can say it and we will still accept it. But Lord Chaitanya himself is setting the standard of what is the basis of accepting a statement or a conclusion as true. It must be supported by scripture. Lord Chaitanya quotes this verse from 2:4:12, where essentially he says that when one does yajna, dana, tapa, yoga, dhyana, yajnas, all these auspicious activities, even though one may be engaged, one will not achieve real auspiciousness if these activities are not connected to the Lord, if they are not done for the pleasure of the Lord. That is why we should dedicate everything for the pleasure of the Lord. केवल ज्ञान मुक्ति दीते नारे भक्ति विने कृष्णोन्मुखे से ही मुक्ति हय विना ज्ञाने. Speculative knowledge, which is without devotional service, cannot give liberation. On the other hand, if one performs devotional service without any knowledge, which means one doesn't endeavor to collect knowledge. When we say collect knowledge, we are not talking about I don't want to know about Krishna, not that kind of not collecting knowledge. Where when we speak about not collecting knowledge, we are talking about focusing too much on the analysis of the difference between matter and spirit, and that I am soul, and when if one doesn't get involved in that, if one is simply engaged in pure bhakti, that is adequate. Why? Because automatically for one who engages in pure devotional service, detachment and knowledge automatically develop. Janete ashu vairagyam jnanam cha yadhaitukam. Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha. So, knowledge without devotion is useless, and devotion, if even if there is no knowledge, is perfect. Lord Chaitanya is contradictory. So sometimes some devotees may wonder, Prabhu, I am not so intelligent, I cannot analyze so much, I cannot. Can you simply, with affection and faith, engage in loving service of the Lord and His devotees? That's all. Huh? Of course, some knowledge of Bhakti Tattva and knowledge of God and our relationship, Sambandha Jnana and Abhidya Jnana, Prayojan Jnana, that knowledge is not the Jnana that we are talking about here. That is necessary for us to become firmly fixed in the process of devotion. Because if we don't understand the process of devotion, our faith will be based on sentiment and we will not know what the right process is and what is not the right process also. Otherwise, you'll say, Prabhu, if knowledge is not important, why we are discussing all these classes? Because these classes are not talking about speculative knowledge. We are not discussing the neti knowledge. We are discussing Sambandha, Abhideya and Prayojan. That is all knowledge which is aimed at attaining devotion. It is not speculative knowledge. Lord Chaitanya quotes another verse to substantiate his point even more. 10th canto, 14th chapter, verse number 4. Where in this verse, the devotee tells the Lord, oh my dear Lord, bhakti to you is the only auspicious path. If somebody is foolish, is so foolish that instead of simply doing bhakti, even gives up bhakti and instead of that engages in other processes like karma, jnana, yoga, especially the speculative knowledge, the impersonal path of trying to understand I am Aham Brahmasmi, Neti Neti, he will simply go through a lot of trouble. Very hard for him. And in the end also he'll not get anything. Krishna has said the same thing in the Bhagavad Gita. In the 6th chapter. Klesha adiktarastesham abhyakta sakta chetasam abhyakta hi gatir dukkham dehavad fir avapyate. Their labors will become less. So these are all proofs that Lord Chaitanya is giving to indicate, this is the scripture, that bhakti itself is sufficient. Even take shelter of other processes, it is trouble and you will not even get the result. That is the point Lord Chaitanya is trying to substantiate and establish based on the teachings of the Srimad Bhagavatam and other scriptures. Lord Chaitanya tells Sanatana Goswami, actually, the Maya energy of the Lord is very difficult to overcome. Devi Hesha Gunamayi Maya Druttaya. But who can overcome? Mam evaye prapadyante Maya Maitam Taranti. I have clearly told in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has said, it is very difficult to overcome Maya. But who can overcome Maya? Those who surrender to Krishna. Those who surrender to. So if one is doing karma, if one is doing jnana, if one is doing yoga, but not surrendering to me, how will he conquer Maya? How will he transcend Maya? Because very clearly I have told, to, to transcend Maya, one must take shelter of me. The living entity is, how to say, in the tight grip of Maya. It's tied around the neck by the chains of Maya. He's totally forgotten that he's servant of Krishna. He thinks he's an enjoyer in the material world. For such a Baddha Jiva, when he takes shelter of the spiritual master and serves the Guru, serves Krishna, then by their grace, when Krishna sees the devotee serving him nicely, then Krishna will tell Maya, isko chhod do, leave him, let him come across, let him cross over the modes, let him come to me. Maya jala chute paya, Krishnera charan. Then he will become free from Maya jal and attain Krishnera charan. Guru Krishna Prasade, the mercy of Guru and Krishna. If one follows even the full Varnashram Dharma and does everything else but doesn't take shelter of Krishna and Guru, simply all ritualistic activities, even following a Varnashram without devotion, it's not going to give you the same result. One will attain only inauspiciousness. Whether one is a Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyas, all these are important parts of the society, but ultimately the perfection of the execution of their duties is to act for Haritoshana. He who simply acts without dedicating their activities to the Supreme Lord and who does not worship the Supreme Lord, the Shastras say, Na bhajanti avajananti sthanat brashta patanti yadaha. They fall down from their position. Very beautiful verse on the power. Ya esham purusham sakshad atma prabhavam ishwaram na bhajanti avajananti sthanat brashta patanti yadaha. This is another proof from the scripture that those who don't worship the Lord, doesn't matter what other types of spiritual activities they engage in, they may initially appear that they become purified, they are going high. But no matter how high they go, they cannot cross the finish line. They cannot cross the finish line. Because without Krishna's gesture to Maya, release the Jiva, no matter how hard the Jiva tries, the Jiva cannot cross the finish line. He can come very close to it, but he cannot cross. And unless there is some bhakti, unless there is some acknowledgement of the Lord, even though there may not be pure devotion, even there is a mixture of devotion, there must be some sense of servitude, some sense of dependence, some sense of, oh Lord, you are great, I am small. If there is no such sense, if one thinks I am God, or there is no God, or whatever else, cannot cross over. Sthanat bhrashta patanti adaha. One will simply fall down from one's position. There are so many people who think they are liberated. They are very well versed in impersonal knowledge. The jnanis, they think they are liberated. And they start referring to themselves and to others, other jnanis like themselves, as Narayan. So in the impersonalist sannyasis, especially from the Mayavad school, they refer to each other as Narayan. Namo Narayan. Because they have taken sannyas, they think, oh, he's as good as God. I am Narayan, you are Narayan, we are all Narayan. Vastutah buddhi shuddha nahe Krishna bhakti vina. Because they are not taking shelter of Krishna bhakti, even though they are purifying themselves, their intelligence is getting bewildered about what is their real position. They start thinking they are God. That is also so dangerous. One cannot cross over Maya by thinking I am God. Because this kind of a mentality is actually opposed to Krishna. This is actually offensive. And to prove that this is offensive, Lord Chaitanya quotes one more verse on the Bhagavatam. Very, very famous verse. 10th canto, 2nd chapter, 32nd verse. ये अन्ये अरविंदाक्ष विमुक्त मानिनस्त्वय्यष्टभावाद विशुद्ध बुद्धयः आरुह्य कृच्छेन परम पदम ततः पतन्ति अधोहो अनादृत युष्मदंग्रयः. Oh Lord, oh lotus-eyed one, Arvindaksha. There are some people who think they are liberated. Vimukta manina. Why they think they are so purified? They think, oh, I have now beyond Maya. I have crossed. And Aruya Kurchin, actually they have come very close to the finish line of liberation. They think they are liberated, but actually they are not liberated. But they have managed to come very close. But no matter how hard they try, they are unable to cross the line. Why? Because they are not taking shelter of you, my Lord. Anadrita Yushmadangraya. Because they disrespect your lotus feet. Because they do not take shelter, although with great effort of severe austerities. Krichena means with great difficulty. Aruya, they climb very, very high, almost come to the summit. Patanti adhoho, they fall down again. Anadrita Yushmadangre, because they do not take shelter of your lotus feet. So I'll give a mundane example. This example I am giving is not from CC. Let's say we want to go to some place. We can buy a ticket to go to that place. We can even get down at that airport of that country. But unless you have a visa, you cannot cross immigration. The visa is the permission to cross the line. That comes by the grace of the government, which is on the other side of the line. You can buy ticket, you can check in, you do all booking, all items, everything you can do, but you can only come up to come near immigration because there is visa. No visa, but I have come. I want to enter. Sorry, deport. Patanti adhoho anadrita. So devotees simply engage in devotional service. Then we don't even have to apply for visa. Krishna will send plane, pick us up. With visa pre-endorsed, with invitation letter. So Krishna has to tell Maya, leave this living entity. There is no other way to conquer Maya. Krishna Surya Sama Maya Haya Andhakara Yaha Krishna Taha Nahi Mayara Adhikar. Because what is Maya? Maya is forgetfulness of Krishna. We want to retain forgetfulness of Krishna and want to have light. So it's like saying, I want sunlight, but I don't want the sun. Hey Baba, how to have sunlight without the sun? And then you remain in darkness. You pretend you are full of light, but nothing is going to happen. So the real solution is to become a devotee. So Maya, in Krishna's presence, she's actually ashamed to stand in front of Krishna. Lord Chaitanya puts a very nice verse. Maya is ashamed. Wherever Krishna is, Maya cannot be there because Maya is known as the shadow potency. Shadow is always there where there is no light. So the simple, obvious solution to overcoming Maya or transcending the material world or being liberated is to simply become Krishna conscious. All other methods can at most take us to the mood of goodness, but they cannot liberate us. This verse was spoken by Lord Brahma. So very simple. Lord Chaitanya tells Sanatana Goswami conclusively, all that a jiva has to do, having understood what I just explained, all that a jiva has to do. It doesn't have to be very qualified materially, very accomplished in austerity, very accomplished in knowledge, can do all kinds of asanas, pranayams, does big yajnas. All these are not the qualifications. Simply, very sincerely and seriously, one has to pray to Krishna. Oh, my dear Lord Krishna, very sincerely. I have been forgetful of you for so many lifetimes. I'm going through material world and cycles of birth, and there's been so many lifetimes. I don't even know how many. But now, finally, I am surrendering unto you now. I am yours. I am your sincere and serious servant. Please engage me in your service. Once, if the Jiva prays like this, huh, it is said, Krishna will immediately free him from the clutches of Maya. Of course, if he maintains that consciousness. What if he doesn't maintain? Lord Chaitanya doesn't mention here, but Lord Ramchandra in Ramayana says, Lord Ramchandra in Ramayana says, Sakrad eva, even once if a devotee, if a living entity, not even a living entity sincerely says to me, Tava asmi iti yachate. That I am yours, O Lord. Once, sincerely and seriously. And even after that, he forgets, gets overwhelmed by Maya, he forgets. I will never forget him. Once somebody has said that, I will make sure I hold him and bring him back. I will give him fearlessness. I will bring him to me. So, this kind of a simple prayer, all one needs is a simple, sincere heart which wants to surrender to Krishna. Lord Chaitanya quotes this verse that Ramchandra says, Sakrad eva prapanno yas tavasmi iti yachate abhayam sarvada tasmai dadami etad vratam mama. This is from Ramayana Yuddha Kanda, 18th chapter, verse 33. It is my vow, Lord Ramchandra says. If one only once seriously surrenders unto me, saying, my dear Lord, from this day I am yours. And prays to me for courage. So, Lord, I am yours, but I am so weak. Huh? My life is such a mess. I have so many conditionings. I want to be your duty. Please give me strength. Please give me courage. I will give courage. I will give guidance. And he will always be safe from that time on. Huh? And this is not just a passing comment that Lord Ramchandra says. It is my vow. Ramchandra's vow, not our vow. Our vow we take, we give up, we take, we give up 108 times as if we are chanting the holy name. We are taking promises and breaking them. Vratam mama. God is saying it is my vow. Once. That is why Lord Chaitanya is concluding this section. He's saying, due to bad association, the living entity is desiring all these other kinds of goals which karma, jnana, and yoga give. But actually, if he becomes intelligent, he will understand what I just explained. All that he need is sincere devotion. If he engages Gada Bhakti Yoge, Gada means intense, serious bhakti, not watered down bhakti, not once in a while. Hari Bol, Krishna, Radharani, all okay. I'm okay, you're okay, we are all okay. Huh? Not that kind of devotion. Very sincerely, seriously engages Gada Bhakti Yoge. That is why Lord Chaitanya says, the scriptures say, Bhagavatam, he quotes another verse from the Bhagavatam, Akamo sarvakamo va mokshakama udaradihi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. Whether one has material desires, one wants liberation, one wants siddhis, or one doesn't want any of this and wants only pure devotion. Even wants anything, just do bhakti. It is so simple. Why you want to analyze so much? Just do bhakti. If you want bhakti and you do bhakti, you will get bhakti. Huh? If you want anything else and you do bhakti, you will get that thing also and you will also get bhakti. How? Because Krishna will give you that thing and slowly he'll purify you also and finally give you bhakti. So why you have to apply your head so much? What I should do, this, that. Already Krishna has told simply, just say I'm yours sincerely and try your best to engage. Doesn't matter how weak you are, once you have started sincerely, Krishna will never let you huh, stray away from the path. So I want to stop here because it's almost 10 and we need to do the Damodar Ashtak as well. So we have covered around 37 verses today. We will continue next time. I didn't want to go through this fast because these points, even though it may seem repetitive, are very, very important. If you want Shuddha Bhakti, you must be very clear about these points. Because if you are not clear about these points, then you will not have the firm faith to execute these points because you will think, oh, maybe, this is not enough, that is not enough, I must do this also, I must do that also. Is this the right way? Is this the right thing? Basis Shastra, Lord Chaitanya is instructing Sanatan Goswami. Crystal clear. Huh? That's why on the basis of Shastra, it's very difficult for anybody else to counter what we are saying. They cannot simply say, oh, your Guru, Lord Chaitanya said, that's why you're believing. No, no, Lord Chaitanya, even though he's the Lord, he has substantiated everything of his teachings by quoting shlokas from the Shastra. He himself, to set that example, he's doing. So I'm going to stop here. What we will do is, we'll quickly recite the Damodar Ashtak, and if then there are any questions or comments, we'll take them then. Namamishwaram Sachidanandarupam Lasatakundalam Gokule Brajamanam Jashodabhiyolukhaladavamanam Param Rishtamatayanta Todritya Gopya Vrudanta Muhurnetram Yugmam Rijantam Karam Bhoja Yugmena Satanka Netram Muhushwashakam Patri Rekhanka Kantha Stita Graivam Damodaram Bhakti Badham Iti Drikswahalila Bhirananda Kunde Swagosham Nimajantam Akhyapayantam Tadyeshi Tadneshu Bhaktairjitatvam Punaha Prematastam Shatavriti Vande Varam Deva Moksham Na Moksham Badimva Nachanyam Vrineham Varishadapiha Idam Teva Purnatha Gopala Balam Sada me manasya avirastam kimanyai idam te mukhambojam atyanta nilair vritam kuntalai snigdha raktaischa gopya muhuschumbitam bimba raktadharam me manasya avirastam malam lakshalabhai Namo Deva Damodar Ananta Vishnu Prasida Prabho Dukha Chalabdi Magnam Kripa Drishti Vrishtyati Dinam Batanu Ruhani Shama Makyam Medhyakshi Drishya Tuve Ratma Jaubadda Murtyaiva Yadvat Tvayamuchitau bhakti rajau kritau cha Tatha prema bhaktim swaktam me prayachya Namo Kshigraho Mishti Namo Dareya. Namaste Sudamne Suradipti Damne. Tvadiyodharaya Vishvasya Damne. Namo Radhikayai Tadiyai Priyayai. Namo Nantalilaya Devaya Tubhyam. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Damodar Devaki. Jai. Thank you so much. Any questions, comments? Wonderful. So thank you so much. So again, gentle reminder, please do your regular offerings of lamp in your home along with your family members. Do not forget to encourage others to also offer lamps. Many of us are doing programs, which is very good. Those who are not yet doing, please do. I have a program tomorrow. I had a program a couple of days ago. We already had a couple of programs in our own home also. Of course, our focus is to try to get new people. It's also okay if devotees are gathering, but more important to extend the invitation to newer people, so we give them that opportunity. Huh? Like Jayapataka Maharaj says that Prabhupada told him that, you are regular customer. You meaning devotees. So you are always chanting, you're always offering. You're also doing in Damodar. That's okay, but this, especially for those who are not customers, we want to make them customers of Krishna Bhakti. So let us extend ourselves. Okay. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Radhe Shyam ki jai, Radha Damodar ki jai. So, by the way, today is 14th, right? Deepavali is on what date? Is it 18th?
2020.
20.
20.
When is the public holiday? 20th, is it? Monday is a holiday?
Monday. No.
Monday.
Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. I think, I don't know, 5 days.
No,
Here in India, Dhanteras is on 18th.
Okay,
then there is nothing on 19th.
Mm.
Then 20th is Narak
Monday,
Chaturdashi and 21st is Lakshmi Pujan, I think.
Okay. So 21st will be okay. So what we'll do is, I'm just trying to think. So at least on Saturday 18th we can still have a class. Maybe next Tuesday we will take a break. We'll be right in the middle of
Then,
it will be actually Deepavali day only on 21st.
Yes.
Actually, it's a good day to do. It could be Badan. Let's see. If nothing else, we will just do Deepdan. We'll see. But I will try to. 18, do you want, or do you want to break for this weekend? I leave it to all of you. All are quiet. Okay.
Can Prabhu.
Can Prabhu.
Can attend, huh? Okay. Let us discuss. So also for us, Damodar month is good. If you can. Okay. Thank you and have a good evening. Hare Krishna Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Bye-bye.